In this video, I want to talk about x and y intercepts for lines. And what I want to emphasize here is that this is going to be very, very different from graphing. When you're graphing lines, I'm not really pro plugging things in. And when you're dealing with the x and y intercepts, you have to plug things in. Okay? Now, the main idea I want to get across here is that when we're talking about the x and y intercepts, in whatever context, that means you're finding the x and y intercepts. So even if it says graph by plotting the x and y intercepts, you have to find the x and y intercepts in those cases. Now, the main idea here is that when we're talking about the x-intercept, what I want you to take as your definition is that when you're talking about the x-intercept, that means that y equals 0. Okay? So the x-intercept means y equals 0. And when you're talking about the y-intercept, that means that your x is 0. Okay? So it's always going to be the opposite variable of the one that you're talking about. So in the x-intercept, you're going to have y equals 0, and the y-intercept, you're going to have x equals 0. So if we look at our first example here, we have 3x plus 2y equals 18. If we're finding our x-intercept, now x-intercept means that our y value is going to be 0. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that equation and we're going to plug in 0 for y, and then we're going to find our value for x. So we're going to start off by just plugging in 0 for y. Now, a lot of people can do this mentally, but I think it's important for you to write that step out so you're cognitively aware of what you're doing in this process. Now, our next step is we're going to simplify this part, which means we have 2 times 0, so that part's just going to go away. And we're going to get 3x equals 18. And then for our second to last step, we're going to isolate our x, which in this case means we're going to divide by 3. And that's going to give us x equals 6. And when we write down our coordinate point for this, you want to remember here, for the x-intercept, our y value was 0, and our x value is going to be 6. So our answer is going to be the coordinate point 6, 0. Now for our y-intercept, we're still using this equation. But in this case, y-intercept means that x equals 0. So we're going to plug in 0 for x in this case. So we're going to start off with 3 times 0 plus 2 times y equals 18. We're going to simplify that just like we did over there. So we're going to get 2y equals 18, and that's going to give us the point y, and then we're going to divide by 2, and that's going to give us the point y equals 9. So for our answer, we're going to have y equals 9 and x equals 0, so we're looking at the point 0, 9. Now in our second example, we have y equals 1/5 x plus 2. I'm going to rewrite that over here. So we want to find our x-intercept. So we're going to start off by remembering that means y equals 0. So we're going to plug in 0 for y. And we're going to have to do a little bit more work in this particular case, but that's okay. All right, now what we need to do is we need to solve for x. So we're going to treat this like a standard linear equation, and we're going to subtract 2 from both sides. We need to get the x term by itself first. Our next step is I want to get rid of that fraction on my x term. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply both sides by 5. When I do that, the 5 here and the 5 here will cancel each other out. I'm going to end up with negative 10 equals x. And so our coordinate point for our x-intercept is going to be negative 10, comma, 0. For our y-intercept is actually going to be a lot easier for us this time around because we're going to set x equal to 0. And when we do that in our equation that we've got here, we're going to get y equals 1/5 times 0 plus 2. And when we simplify that, we're just going to get y equals 2. So we're already done. And then our y-intercept is going to be the point 0, 2. Now, so that should be everything that you need to know to graph lines and do the x-intercepts and y-intercepts. And I'll catch you next time.